coming out, and we're going to go right at 7, and we're already in open, so let's move along and get this done tonight. So,
You're done.
Moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Deputy Mayor Faulkner. The minutes of the March 6, 2018 council meeting be approved. All in favor? All right. Next up, additional items. Anybody got additional items? I have one or two, maybe.
I have one.
I might have.
Ron with a question mark.
Just Ron, yes.
Yes. You got one, Ron?
No, I'm good.
You're good? Okay. All right.
So far.
Like the rules are, if you have one at the end, let me know. Sorry. Moved by Councillor Anderson, second by Councillor Elliott. The Town of Minto Council convenes into Committee of the Whole. All in favor? All right. Now, next up is delegations.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, public meeting. No public meeting, right? Delegations, and we have Canada Packers, and Lisa and David are going to be the 1-2 combo on this. Excellent. Are you going to sit both?
Yeah, do you mind?
No, that'd be good.
Yeah.
It's very optional.
I would like you to stand.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge,
You're welcome.
council, staff, visitors. Lisa Leslie, everybody knows Lisa.
Yeah.
Dave Mallet was coming too, but he had another meeting. So thank you for entertaining us tonight. We are on the Canada Packers reunion committee, and Lisa's going to go over our schedule of events. But a number of weeks ago, actually a number of months ago, there was somebody come up with this crazy idea about having a Canada Packers reunion. So there's 8 or 10 of us jumped on board. We're in a committee, and we've been meeting a couple times a month with the help of Summer at the Launchit and numerous other people. We've been meeting to try and determine how we're going to put this reunion on. So
That's good.
yeah, so go ahead, Lisa.
We're going to start the event with the Mayor's Charity Golf Tournament.
Mm-hmm.
We thought it would be of interest to some other people coming back, and it would add an additional day to our event. So we're advertising the Mayor's Golf Tournament on Thursday, August the 9th. The 10th, the main events will begin with the Kinsman Beef Barbecue from 5:30 to 8:30. We haven't made it as a formal night because we were concerned with people coming back to have set times, curriculum that way. So we're just going to have the community center open for as long as people want to stay that night, whether it be till probably 12 o'clock we would advertise, but the barbecue itself will be 5:30 till 8:30, and then just a social time afterwards. Saturday morning, the Legion will host their breakfast. The Historical Society is going to have a Canada Packers display at the library. I believe it's running all throughout. We haven't had a set schedule from those folks yet, but we're hoping that it'll be open the whole time. We're going to run our annual car show that day and have the street closed as well. The MIAC group is hoping to do their amazing race event again. The Downtown Rebate Committee is doing the Jumpy Castle space painting. DJ afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the Legion involved, and the Kinsmen are involved. The Historical Society is involved. So we're using a lot of other people's services to help us out.
We're hoping to promote the event with the merchants downtown and offer sidewalk sales and get them involved as well for whatever their regular store hours are. The Savor in the Street will be hosted again. 6 till 8 we have as the tentative times. And then we'll have the street dance from 8 till 11. And then after that, we'll encourage everybody to go back to Harry's and the Legion, which seems to be popular. And Sunday, we've asked the Historical Society to host a second breakfast. They're still ironing out some details with that, but I think it's going to be at the community center. So, yeah,
so we hope the CP people returning will enhance the street party the whole weekend. So our request to the council of the town of Minto is for $5,000 as an advance that we'll pay back a little bit later in the year. We do have we're spending some money on advertising, stationery, gifts, prizes, stamps, and whatever else comes along. So, questions?
All right. Canada Packers was known as the University of Western Ontario for the number of students that worked there and went to university, and so it must have been complicated. How did an employee of Canada Packers learn about this event?
Basically, we've just sort of researched old employees and made up a database. We've old pictures. We sort of went through them. I have an old picture from 1978 displayed at Dave Anderson's window. There's
78. That's modern.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that's old. I'm dating myself.
Would there be
You weren't
50
working
people?
then.
How many?
Yeah, there's likely more than that. So,
Yeah. And just,
Because I just give you an example. I worked there, I believe it was in 1967, and I did not get an invitation. So
and we've not sent invitations yet.
Okay.
We've sort of, we need money to purchase. We're hoping to do a lot by emails and connect.
oh no, that's cool. I think it's just fantastic. But
yeah, we're still
I just wondered.
Facebook.
Facebook. Yeah, we're
Okay.
trying to do as much.
So when the plant closed I think it was January 29th, 1992, there was quite a list of people that worked there. So we're utilizing that as well. And it's quite amazing the number of hits. John Kay, a past employee as well, is on the committee, and he's our Facebook guy. And him and Dave Mallet, and it's amazing when they say how many hits there's been and how many people have looked and checked and all these other
That's
things.
cool.
So
Good.
Mike
Good job.
Wright has come on board too. He's historical, so he's been sharing a lot of pictures. And we've also asked Gary McDougall too to help us with that. So.
There you go. Have a lot.
So what would your revenue source be? How are you making money at the event?
So we are doing souvenirs.
Okay.
There's not going to be a huge revenue source. So what we're hoping for is to the people that are doing the meals, and we're going to try and bring people. We're hoping we're going to receive a monetary benefit from each one. So the other thing is we're banking pretty heavily, to be totally transparent, on being part of the Mayor's Golf, and we've had to put a little pressure on Gord and Janet, a little bit of arm twisting. I shouldn't say that because I know that we're up against some pretty good competition, and so I mean honestly, that's pretty well it. We are going to go after. We are in the process of asking for sponsorship. Some of the ex-employees that have businesses, and some of the people. I mean, the business get picked on a lot. But Lisa has volunteered, Leslie's to, what'd you say, 10,000?
Yeah, no, 10,000 pennies.
A lot of cars, Lisa.
Excellent.
No, actually.
So it's 26 years this year since it's been closed.
Wow.
So we appreciate the opportunity. If there's no more questions, why, thank you for consideration. And
I just have a comment or two, and great for taking this on, Dave. I think
it's not me.
And everybody, like I know Hammer and Lisa and everybody that, and it's great that you worked it into things that are already happening. I think that's a super idea because you're not remaking.
Things were going well.
And I think
it's going to make it easier for us to enjoy the weekend.
And I didn't work at Canada Packers, my brother did, and there was just so many people out there when you start to think how many, as Ron said, how many students, how many, that was their summer job, and without that they wouldn't have gone off to school or off to university, and then a lot of them stayed on and did it, and until it closed down. So it's been a fabric of the Harrison community, and going way back when I remember getting the ice cream and talking about some things. So I don't think there's any problem. I don't have any problem with the $5,000 loan. We did this for Clifford, and we've done it many times. I think it's great to advance the money. You guys get working and have some cash flow, and go from there. And I'm sure that we'll either recoup it in some way or whatever. So
we will. Thank you very much.
Do we have a motion to?
So moved.
By Ron, Gene, all in favor? Great.
There we go. Thanks.
There you go. That was to adjourn.
Oh,
It is.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
And now we have Summer. Yeah, you're right there. With a year in review.
A year in review.
How do you want? You can grab a mic or you can do whatever you want.
Grab the mic.
No, I can.
Did you want to stand?
Okay, I'll stand. And he can't see
Are you
my
sure?
papers. Yeah, I guess. I'm sure. Okay, can everyone hear me all right? I probably should stand here. Good.
Make sure that mic's right
Mike's
up there.
tipped up to you.
Oh, there we go.
Otherwise,
I'll get myself
your
situated.
public won't hear you, and then they'll be all on us.
Oh, to forward on the message. So, Launch at Minto, year in review for 2017. I'm excited to have some kind of great new updates and some new focuses that we've developed. So, Launch at Minto, we kind of are evolving and changing and adapting to what we're hearing from the business community and our clients of what's needed. So we kind of did a little rebranding, and we're going for kind of a business solution center, which encompasses all aspects: the training, the coaching, the office space. So just really whatever businesses need, we're there to provide some assistance for. And we have updated our business flight program in 2017 as well. The previous program was about 10 months long, and we were just kind of getting feedback. People were dropping out a little bit early. Maybe it was a little too much time for them. So we've shortened it to 5 months. And in that each month, we focus on a different business fundamentals. So customer service, developing your business plan, market research and your viability in the marketplace, sales and marketing, and business bookkeeping. So we've kind of updated it that way. And go to the next one. Yep. So in the business flight program, if you don't remember, just to refresh your memory, we have these wonderful resources called our mentors, without whom we could not be what we are, and we could not serve the businesses that we serve. And so we really greatly appreciate and value our mentors and thank them from the bottom of my heart. I know personally I do, because I use you as mentors for myself too. So quickly reviewing, we of course have Mayor George Bridge with his financial business finance past, Paul Brown, who addresses any insurance issues that our clients may have, Heather Waterworth, who is marketing and communication, Bethany McMullen, who is our HR guru, and then we have Wendy Lockwood and John Burgess, who can come as a duo or separate if we need them to. What I found with John and Wendy, their special focus is if there's a business starting that is a husband and wife or a partnership, they really can speak to specific challenges that that business might be facing with living and working and all that sort of thing together. So they've been just a tremendous amount of help to our businesses. Then we have John Mole from Wellington Construction. And new to our mentor list is Andy Pridham. And Andy has graciously volunteered his time to assist anyone in the creative industry or in the arts. So we're really fortunate to have such an amazing roster. Then I thought it was important to note we have these professional volunteers, is what I'm calling them. And we have Counselor Mary Lou Colwell and Bonnie Cowan, who again also come as a duo or separate for me sometimes. They have hosted a few business bookkeeping workshops and also met with our clients just one-on-one. I know Mary Lou has had a few meetings with our businesses who are just need some grounding, just some sure financial footing to start their business. One in particular was a consignment store, and Mary Lou, I think it was really valuable that she met with them because there's specific challenges that come with that. And then of course Glenn Hall, who is always on call, and he is just a wonderful facilitator of all of our lunch and learns and things. So we're very, very fortunate in the community as well as at Launch It to have these people at our disposal, and we value them. In the business flight program, as I mentioned, we have those 5 key topics that we cover, but throughout the year we also offer a lot of other training. So this past year we touched on like entrepreneurship 101. What does it take to start a business? What skills do you need? And business bookkeeping should be on the same line there. But again, and then our leadership, we touch on that in our lunch and learns, whether it's personal leadership development or your business leadership skills, leading your employees to success. Then we also hosted Why Stop training, which was youth employment skills. And that ran, I believe, for 6 weeks. And we didn't have as many youths attend as what we wanted, but the feedback was just incredible. And I listened in on all of them, and it was just exceptional. I wish it was a full house, but maybe we'll look at running that again in the future. We also touched on health and safety training, human resources, and government compliance. We hosted a Bill 148 info session, which was completely chock-a-block full, and just different accessibility compliance issues. So those are kind of the training that we touched on the past year. And then in the Business Flight Program, we've introduced with a new one, Go Forth Institute. If you're not familiar with it, I've maybe spoke about it briefly here before. But what it is, it's a Canadian-based company, and it's an online platform for anyone looking to start a business or grow. It's anyone in business. So at any stage of your business, it's access to professionals 24/7. So for a small fee, which you can purchase Go Forth just separate from the Business Flight Program or within. But it's important to note that having this tool at your disposal anytime you have a question is just so valuable. The stats are staggering. Like, it's saying, this is Stats Canada, 130,000 new businesses open each year, and 35% of those fail within the first 2 years. So it's pretty staggering. And if we go to the next slide, with Go Forth training, their stats are 91% of entrepreneurs who took Go Forth training are still in business 2 years later. So it just goes to show you, if you're investing in your business and you're investing your time and getting that good basis for that knowledge, it just takes you so much further and gives you such a great chance of success. So we're really happy to be able to share Go Forth with the community and with our businesses. This tool, I think, really is going to become quite valuable to us and a great resource. So there'll be more on that in the coming months. So who is using Launch It? These are kind of the numbers of the past year. You'll see a big number there with the Live to Lead event, 325 attendees for 3 sessions. So we held one at the Norgan Theatre, which was the live event, and there was a little over 100 people there. Then we went to Centre Wellington, and it was less than what I hoped. Hanover actually beat us all, but Centre Wellington had, I think it was 80 or 85 attendees at it, and then Hanover made up the balance. So we've been asked, people just loved it, and the feedback we got was incredible, as it was last year. So, of course, we're bringing Live to Lead back this October, so mark your calendars. I think it's October 5th, the first Friday. So we'll soon be starting with promoting that in the next coming months. And then you'll see it says one-on-one client meetings and info sessions. What that is, to clarify, that's when I sit down myself and meet with people who need help getting a business number, who need help with setting up their social media platforms, just all of those regular meetings that maybe isn't specific to Harold or to one of the mentors. I sit down often now, especially since I've been doing this a bit longer and I have more experience under my belt. I'm able to kind of help these people just easily and quickly. So it's a meeting with a lot of people, so about 60 meetings, and some of them had more than one person at it, so 82 people. And then our business training workshops, we offered 19, and there was 240 attendees. And then Harold, who is now officially back at Launch It, and we're thrilled to have Harold back. He met with people. He came up 10 times last year, and he had 40 people meet with him. And then our Lunch and Learn events, there was 9 sessions and 72 people. So I think that the numbers kind of are speaking for themselves. They just keep growing, and people keep attending these events. So we just have to keep giving people what they want and finding new ways to engage them. So in total, we had 759 attendees, and that was just including our Lunch and Learn, the Live to Lead, the advisory, the training, and the one-on-one. That wasn't just people who walked in off the street for, other reasons or various questions. So I think that's pretty great that we had those numbers. And then the next slide, we did from the beginning. So June 2014 to December 2017, overall visits to Launch It, 3,031. So we've met with that many people and connected with that many people, some duplicates, of course. But we're pretty proud of those numbers. And the business training workshops, we've had 687 people at them. Live to Lead, 625. Client meetings with Harold, 105. And Lunch and Learn events, 188 attendees. And this slide probably should be in a different spot, but I did find it was important to note with our adjustment and shift with Launch at Minto, we still offer the same things. We have our office spaces for lease on an occasional basis or a monthly lease. We rent the meeting room and the boardroom, and we still have all those same basics available if people want them. What we're finding is that there's certain businesses that are really appreciating the fact that they have a office space to go to that is furnished, and they can come once or twice a month. They just call me that morning, or is something available. So they have a professional office space to come and meet clients with, rather than Tim Hortons or their house or someplace like that. It's nice and quiet. So we are really kind of trying to grow that element, because there is a need for that there. Next. Okay. This is who is using the Launch It space. So we have the Saver in the Street Committee, Canada Packers Reunion Committee, as Dave mentioned, Infrastructure Ontario, Randy Scott Clinical Services. All those people use it a couple times a month. Then we have Joe. He's back as of December. McLaughlin Financial is back in the Launch It office space, and we're thrilled to have Joe back. And we have, if you haven't seen Kit Kat Photography, she's in the retail space where Innovative Print used to be. So she's has been there. She's by appointment only, and I think she's been quite successful with it and busy. And then when I was speaking of occasional tenants, we have Ian Cubitt, who's a succession planning business transition coach, and he uses our space between 2 and 4 times a month, I would say. He comes in and meets with clients, and he's been really, really great. I also share some of his marketing material too, because he does videos, like educational videos for his business, and I share that sometimes on our social media and whatnot. And it is also home of the Minto Youth Action Council. They have been busy in our Launch It space painting and redecorating, and it looks wild and great and vibrant in there. And the youth are just so fantastic. They, if they were in there for a study space prior to exams, and we had a Canada Packers reunion meeting, and Taylor was leaving, and I was staying there, and I said, no, they can stay. And they were just studying and working their little hearts. It was just great to see their engagement, and they were so appreciative that they have that space to kind of be and call their own. So I think it's something that we really should value and be proud of. And it's also the home of the Minto Chamber of Commerce, as we all know, my dual role. And okay, so now we're on to another component that we've been working on in 2017. This has been a slow but steady climb, and we finally just this week or late last week received confirmation that the Wellington County regional profile on the FarmLink website is now live. So we have reached out, Belinda and I reached out to FarmLink last year, just to see how we could connect, maybe get a profile on their website, Minto specific, to connect farm seekers with farm opportunities in whatever capacity that might be. So it could have been, just a plot of land or looking to take over a farm opportunity. And so there was quite a bit of back and forth and discussion of cost and how we were going to make this effective. And then it just made sense for Wellington County to do kind of a more comprehensive Wellington County map. And so each municipality has their own specific section on there. And so our next steps with Elevate Ag is we're waiting for some promotional material then from Wellington County. And then we're going to go out and start promoting it, have maybe a couple events, just educating people on what this opportunity looks like. We expect it'll be kind of a slow climb to getting people's buy-in, but just to let them know this resource exists and that, they can put their profile on this website and maybe they'll get a connection and something will work out for them, just, connecting people. So we're pretty excited to have that finally live. And Launch at Minto, we have always had Harold DeVries, our business advisor, come the second Thursday of each month. to launch at Minto. And we thought, why not build on that and do an Ask an Advisor kind of series each month. So on the third Thursday, we have Faith Loft from Second Chance Employment Counseling. She comes. And then the fourth, we have Tom Lucis, who is the Talent Employment Attraction for Wellington County. And these people, it's been great to meet them, and great service to be able to offer to our clients. So we're really excited to continue with that for 2018. And it's important to note, I know that through the years we've kind of talked about our champions with Innovative Print and Triton Engineering and Ag Business, and they are such amazing, bright success stories for us. But it's important to note the small victories too, like the small wins of the Renew Northern Wellington program and businesses that have succeeded and grown in that program. But our champions, we're really proud of them, and we do certainly want to celebrate them, like Triton Engineering. I know they keep adding more office spaces in the old post and adding more employees, and same with Innovative Print. I know now they have someone else taking over the Rural Route magazine. So all these businesses are thriving and growing in our community, and I think we should be extremely proud of our community and our contribution to that. And then we should also be very proud and appreciative of all of our partners. So all these partners allow us to connect with our businesses in one way or another through funding, training, grant opportunities. All of these ways we're able to connect and offer the caliber of service that we offer to our businesses. And we thank them from the bottom. I thank them from the bottom of my heart. And thank you. That's it. But thank you very much. Do you have any questions for me?
Not a question, just a comment. Summer, I want to thank you so much for all the work you've done with Launch at Minto. You've brought it from its infancy, and we see what it is now.
Wow.
And I just hope it keeps growing, because it's a fantastic resource for businesses coming to Minto. And just you talking like this and letting people know of some of the training courses that are in there and the opportunities that exist for them. I hope anyone considering a new business in Minto, or anyone in business in Minto, comes and visits and takes
full advantage of it. And that's really
so many services.
Really the goal, like I think it's so important that even just to know that support is there. I think it's
exactly.
But it's the support of council.
Like you say, a simple thing like, how do I apply for business number? Someone coming for the first time, that's a very difficult thing, and they go on the CRA website and
you can't find the link
and get confused.
Yes. No, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Ron?
Just a couple of things. You said you had you lease out your office space for somebody to have meetings or whatever. I just had somebody call me, and they wanted to meet with like 40 people. How many could you hold?
That's probably a little bit much for our space. I would say the capacity is pretty much tapped out at 20, and that's tight.
So 20 you could meet, but people would meet with 20.
Yeah, I would say, and that's close quarters. I like to keep it around 17, but you can fit 20 in there.
Okay. Second question I had was to do with money, which is important. I just wondered whether you met your budget costs, or is it all through these people, or do we make our money back on clients coming in?
Our clients coming in?
Yeah.
Well, we did hit budget. Do you want to speak to that? Or? Yeah.
So luckily we're below budget every year, or have been on Launch It. So we've been putting money into reserves. So I think we have a fairly healthy reserve, like 27,000, about 27,000 in reserves for Launch It. And where our funding comes from, obviously the town is a funder. The Minto Chamber, we would not be able to have Launch It, quite frankly, without the Chamber's sponsorship or partnership. The County of Wellington is a partner, and then the rest of the fees, or the money generated, comes from our people using our courses, renting spaces, that sort of thing. So
okay, that's good. It's obviously a success. The money we're investing as the town of Minto is coming back in fold. Businesses that are operating in our community and people that are learning from it.
That's right.
It's all better.
That's the goal.
That's great.
For sure. It's good.
Anything else? I just want to add one thing. One of your slides back there and talked about I think it's Go Forth.
Yeah.
Being a past banker and understanding the situation for small business. And in the first, before that, you saw how many small businesses fail.
Mhm.
And it's not because of not having a good idea or working very hard, because most small businesses have a good idea and they work really hard. But it's that mentorship, that's that planning, and making sure they have a good business sense to it, where Harold comes in play. So I think what you've done and what we've tried to do with this program is add value back to those people that are willing to take that risk. Because starting in your own business, Mary Lou, you'll attest to that, and people, and Judy, you're on a farm, and everybody that understands that's a big step.
It is.
That you're going to create your own income.
Yeah.
And if we can give those success stories and way we're working on it, I think it just adds real good value. And Ron, that's why it's money well spent. We're getting it 10 times back in taxes because we have businesses that are have launched out. We've got people into town, so keep up the good work, Summer.
Well, thank you very much.
I got a wave from the back
Just
here.
a quick point of interest. When we first were researching and doing the feasibility stuff for Launch It, there was only like 3 rural incubators. 2 of them were very much like funded to like the tune of $1 million, and one of them was really small scale. The one that was funded at the tune of $1 million doesn't exist anymore. The other one's doing really well, and the one in Halliburton, which is the one similar to ours, is still operating. So there's not a lot, like across the province, there's not a lot of centers like this, and Launch It is now seen as a success story. And we were just presenting at the University of Waterloo at Communitech.
Yep.
Communitech is like a huge incubator, right? So to be asked to present on a small rural example is a big deal because there's not a lot. So kudos to Summer and the work that she's been doing there, and also to Glenn Hall, who's the chair and puts a lot of time and effort into it. So just wanted to thank them.
And just to add that, Belinda, we work with Innovation Guelph and GBAC, and we have a lot of other partners that makes a big difference. So we bring those all to the table. So keep up the good work. And again, I want to just say one more thing for the chamber, because the fact that we share your salary with the chamber is a big help too.
Yeah, it is.
And the fact that it makes sense. It makes common sense that the chamber wants to develop business. And this works so well. And I know, Mary Lou, you had, from being on the chamber, have helped support that. So thanks for the report. And
wonderful. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Correspondence.
No, we have public question period. Public question period. Has anybody got a question? Correspondence received for information requiring direction of council. Anybody want to pull any of the correspondence? David?
Yes, thank you, Member Rich. Letter B there, the Saugeen Valley request to our fearless leader, our premier, for funds. Down a little bit further, the municipality of Kincardine have supported this, and I'd like to see us do that as well.
Okay, has everybody got that pulled up?
Yep.
Several years.
None of it.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, and I think when they first, and you probably have the history too, when they first started conservation authorities, they were totally funded by the province, and it's one of those downloads that have sort of come back to us.
1995.
Yeah, and not only that, the municipalities, as they downloaded the responsibility, they uploaded responsibility and downloaded the money. So conservation authorities got a lot more on their plate than they used to have. And I don't think that's a problem. Is everybody keen on supporting the fact that the province should pick up a bit more of the tab? Am I reading that right?
Yep.
I have a motion.
Yep.
David, seconded by Jean. All in favor? Good. I hope they will.
I think it's coming to that. The Maitland Valley Conservation Board has met with our local MPs and MPPs, and I think they're getting the message. The Conservation Ontario does a lot of good work.
Okay. I just happened to have, I had lunch with the mayor of Kincardine the other day.
Where you're killed?
She pay?
She did. Anything else coming out of the? Well, so I have a motion to accept the correspondence. Mayor Faulkner, Councillor Elliott, all in favor? Okay. Reports. And we've got committee minutes. Recreation.
No attachment.
No attachment. What? Oh, you said we haven't got any of these? I can't get it up. Okay, trees for Minto's the only one we have? All right. Trees for Minto. Who's doing that? Judy?
I can probably do that.
Good.
So let me get it up here. I did make some notes though too. So, so we got our budget set. Are you laughing at me?
No,
there-
honest.
It's something,
Being inappropriate.
it's something I said by accident.
No.
Go ahead.
Don't bring it up again.
Okay.
Terry and Belinda.
So, Trees for Minto, we set our budget for 2018. We have a new Maitland Valley Conservation Authority rep who is Haley Murray. We're looking at providing some fruit trees and hazelnut trees this year. Fruit trees, I guess. Sort of on the same plan as, we haven't got the details ironed out on that yet. And we have 3 spots that we may be putting some hazelnut trees in as demo sites. And Maitland Valley has some money. Just talking about conservation authorities, right? So we could access some of that money maybe for some signage, maybe mark our demo plots or for promotion, or maybe for the community gardens, that kind of thing. So we're going to be looking at accessing some of that money too. We had a meeting booked actually for last week that we had too many people that just weren't available, so we're putting together another date. So.
Judy, maybe just expand on that. Those 3 plots, the size, and what should be going in there. I think that's really neat.
Yeah,
stuff.
so they're a third of an acre each. How many trees are they in each?
Well, a third of an acre.
It's like 200 and some trees in. Does that sound right?
Oh, it should be more than that.
Yeah.
1 acre is 323 trees.
Oh,
so
that's right.
a third of an acre is 100 and a bit. Right here. Yes, that's in your minutes.
In your minutes.
Obviously, I missed that part.
So the idea is to put these demo plots in. These are hazelnut trees that should be okay in our area with our weather. So it's kind of a demo plots to show people how they could be used. And one thing that all of these demo plots is there will be access to the public to come and have a look.
Yep.
I think the idea too is this could be a cash crop down the road. And
yeah.
We're trying to get it to be another crop.
They're trying to see if it'll survive here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I think if you can get them to grow, what's the chocolate company that? Nutella? And
You're thinking of Ferrero Rocher, but they will not use. They will not take these.
Ferrero.
They will not take these hazelnuts, though.
No, but that's the idea. Maybe.
But that's kind of the idea, yeah.
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 Why won't they take these?
It's something to do with the variety of them.
Yeah. They have to be growing down south.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I have a minute? Can I get approval of that? You want to move it?
Sure, I'll move it.
David, all in favor? Well, there's the butter tarts and buggies. Well, we did have butter tarts earlier, and they're all gone. I didn't get one.
There you go. I'm glad you enjoyed your butter tart.
Well, you gave them all away.
I was a little late, tardy, I guess.
That's a beautiful picture.
How did you order
Could have brought
butter tarts, wise?
Who's a young fellow in the front? Belinda?
Oh, there wasn't many.
You know who this is?
Yes, I do. It's a relative. That's just something to refer to. So I'll zip through this pretty quickly because you are all aware of what butter tarts and buggies is. Yeah. So this is in relation to the agreement that you're going to be signing. Hopefully signing, I guess, later on. So just a bit of background. The Butter Tarts and Buggies was established in 2016, and it was originally the town of Minto, Wellington North, and Southgate. Mapleton came on last year for the first year. We always launch our new map in the spring in conjunction with the Rural Romp. And this is a year-round self-guided tour, as you know. And as the map highlights, we have 4 main categories that the businesses are grouped under. So there's food, farm, garden, and retail. Oh, sorry, Bill, you're keeping up. Okay. I'm going on my screen and not even paying attention over there. So just to give you a sense of what we do in terms of marketing, we do have a really great website. It's an interactive map that's it is a great website. The brochure that you have there, we produced 20,000 brochures last year, and they were all distributed, minus the few that we have here. And those are put out through it's called CTM, brochure distribution. So it goes to all the Tourism Ontario information centers. We also use a source that takes them out in the KW, St. Jacobs area. We have a special passport promotion. So in there, people get so many stamps. They get to enter for prizing. We have a pretty active Facebook and Twitter account thanks to the work of Taylor. We're members of the Culinary Tourism Alliance, so we always get special promotions on there. Obviously, members of Taste Real Guelph Wellington get all the exposure of that. In 2016, we were featured in the Ontario Food and Culture magazine. We also do some radio advertising included in the directories, the festival event guide that the county produces, and more exciting, in January, we were mentioned in the New York Times. So that's pretty exciting. That's what that one picture
really big.
is there.
New Yorkers just rescued.
They're coming up.
Yeah. So just some interesting stats. The top 10 visitors to our website, great news there. That's exactly what our target areas are. So that's nice to see. I'm not going to read this all to you, but just wanted to point out a few things. A lot of people find our website through Facebook, which is, again, a good thing because that's where we're hoping people are finding us. We're spending a lot of resources there in terms of time and money. And the demographic is, somebody was surprised that this was 25 to 34. So this is great. The millennials and younger couples with children and stuff are interested in the work that we're doing on this, which is great. It's a good way to introduce people to our communities. Hashtag Tarts and Buggies is our tag. And this is used on our social media, so you can see how many followers we have in Instagram, Twitter, and on Facebook. And this past year, we introduced the Fall Frolic event. So this was supposed to be an event in the spring. It's like the Rural Romp. So we wanted to do a similar event in the fall. So this is the Fall Frolic. This is just for our Butter Tarts and Buggies businesses. And they all do something special with the fall. So they would have pumpkin butter tarts or deals on pumpkins. And it's all not just around tarts, but the fall and specials that they could do. And for our first event, we had over 500 people visit locations on the trail. So we're going to be doing this again in 2018. So mark your calendars for October 12th to 14th. So in terms of what the partner commitment involves from each of the municipalities, it's a 2-year commitment this time. So from 2018 to 2020. Initially, we had $5,000 investment, but now that we've had more partners come on, that has now dropped to $2,500. And what the funding basically is used to do, it allows us to buy gateway signs for the businesses, pull up banners, do our website, print our brochure. This year, we're looking at doing the brochure every other year, and then putting some funds towards photography and videos because we think that's something that we're missing and can drive more traffic. Each community is responsible for getting their at least 10 businesses on that meet the criteria. They're responsible for communicating with their own businesses. So we look after Minto businesses, Mapleton looks after theirs. If they don't get 10, that's their problem. So yeah, it's up to us to be communicating with our own businesses. And Wellington North looks after all the monies, the treasury stuff, and then we take care of social media, and the other people provide the information for us. So that's basically an overview of where we're at with the Butter Tarts and Buggies really quickly. And this year we are adding on West Grey. So that is why we need to update our agreement. It's kind of nice to have another partner in Grey County. We can tap into RTO7, the regional tourism group there, as well as Grey County Tourism. So having more partners kind of benefits everybody, and they bring some really good product to the table as well. So.
Yes, Belinda, I just have prided ourselves, I think, in how nice our trails are looking and whatnot. And I had a chance to speak to a couple provincial trail people, and no longer is it just get your trails looking nice. People that belong to that association know where the trails are, and they want B&Bs. They want direct where the restaurants are, so that these people make a weekend and they'll do the trail from Guelph to Elora and then Minto or whatever. So I guess we're going to have to broaden our horizons and work closely with you, economic development, to develop that thing, because I thought what they said was absolutely correct.
Yeah. There's different groups doing like packaging and Cycle Ontario by Bike. They do workshops for businesses to have them ready for cycle tourists and developing trails. And say you're starting out in Mildmay and you're coming to Hairston and you want to buy stuff along the way. Different businesses will help you like put stuff in your car and take it to your next stop, so you don't have to lug it on your bicycle and stuff. So yeah, there's lots around.
Oh, the horizons are endless.
Tourism.
Yeah. Anything else? Just that Roger Brooks, and I just want to bring up the Roger Brooks, and we just got this today at Economic Development in the county, and you have one. I think there was.
I got one early, yeah.
But what Roger Brooks?
I got mine before you.
Yeah, she got hers before me. Anyways, typical. I don't get a butter tart. I don't get a book first. There's no respect. Anyways, in here it talks about one of the big things he talks about in tourism and promoting your community is trails.
Yes.
And collaboration with other people to build those trails, because people are looking for that. As you're saying, they're looking for that ability to get there, and I think we have a mention in here about our butter.
He specifically mentioned the butter tarts and buggies as being a good example of what the county should be doing.
And Roger Brooks is world known.
Yes.
He goes all over the world talking about what downtown should look like and everything. So that's quite a compliment for you and your butter tart trails.
Yes, we're quite proud of it.
Okay, excellent. All right. Can we have somebody move that?
Sure.
Ron and Mary Lou, all in favor? Okay, and you're up again.
Yep, that's why I'm still here.
I know. Gosh, what is that? Pick on the mayor tonight. Pick on the mayor tonight.
I'm on 4 Tylenol extra strength right now. So.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah.
She's not ill.
Okay, so as you all know, the industrial land has been selling like hotcakes. Terry and I are the real estate partners of Minto, and
no commission though.
No commission. We work without commission, so we're hard at work. Anyway, as you all know, we've sold quite a bit of land the last couple of years, and as a result, we're dwindling down on service land. And I kind of gave you some background in this report about back when I started, we had been working with Colliers, and they had set a price then, if you recall, of $45,000 an acre. If you went 3 to 7 acres, $40,000, and then 7+ was $35,000. And we had no interest and no takers, nothing. And when we looked around at neighboring municipalities, they were selling it for $15,000 an acre. So we decided we didn't need Colliers' help anymore, and we lowered our price to $15,000, and we got a lot of stuff going here. So you can see in the report the list of businesses now in the Palmerston Industrial Park, the list of businesses in the Hairston Industrial Park. In Palmerston, where I have the name and then in brackets the businesses, the name is obviously the owner of the building, and then they're renting spaces out to those businesses, just to kind of be clear there. So in Hairston, we have a 2.3 acre parcel left that's serviced, and there is a first right of refusal on that property. Other than that, we do not have any service land left, as you know, because we did our municipal EA last year, just the end of the year. And the cost to service that next 11 acres is estimated at $625,000 or almost $57,000 an acre. In Palmerston Industrial Park, we obviously have our 14-acre certified site remaining, and we have some smaller parcels that we're going to be servicing if the budget is passed this spring. And as you know, we have an offer on and hopefully more to come. So we have already begun work on with Triton Engineering on our sewer lift station to service the rest of the industrial park and hopefully future expansions to that. And the work on Noble Road is expected to be about $300,000 for those approximately 4 acres. So again, I went back and looked at what other municipalities are selling land for, what kind of supply they have left, what their development charges are, because that is important. Some municipalities and some counties don't have development charges, and we have both. So that's definitely something that we have to take into consideration when setting a new price. So there you have in the chart the comparators. and their rates. And then I did a hypothetical situation looking at, say we're selling 2 acres, it's a 10,000 square foot industrial building, and the tax assessment is 300,000. And as you'll see in the chart, that's how the numbers rolled out. So in looking at all this information, and you'll get to my recommendation later, is that basically $35,000 is a good asking price for us. It's kind of average selling price, and it's also about average when you take into consideration development charges. Also, right now we are subsidizing the rate, and this would continue that subsidy but at a lesser rate and still allow us to get more money to pay for the cost to service more land, because without service land, people aren't looking at you. So if you don't have service land, you're out of the game. So I guess that's, we can increase our price, and this, my recommendation is $35,000 based on the information in my report. So any questions?
When did we started selling these lots, in what year? 2000 and
when did we start selling?
Yeah, when did the industrial land in Palmerston become available?
Well, it was before I was here. So TG Minto was there in 2001.
2002.
2000, because there was their 15th anniversary in 2016.
Wasn't it being sold at 15,000?
I'm not sure. I didn't go back that far. I just went back as far as when I was here.
It was 15,000 that many years ago.
Yeah. So then it was 15. They bumped it. Nothing sold.
Yes.
Dropped it down to be competitive.
Yes, exactly.
Sold
right.
land.
So we're saying 15,000. How many years ago? Prices have rose, and our cost at that time, we had all this. Everything was able to be serviced. Now we're going to have to service those lots.
Yeah.
So it's going to cost us an awful lot of money. It's scary when you go from 15,000 to 35,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one problem I have, but I understand the reasoning behind it. We should at least break even, and I think that was back in 2001. That was the reasoning for 15,000, because at 15,000 it did break us even.
Maybe in 2001, but
yeah, that's right. That's what I'm saying.
Back when Colliers was here, it was like 43,000 an acre cost to service it. Yeah. So we are subsidizing it by like 28,000 or something.
And that's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, and people are running out of land.
Should have been a gradual list instead of that one jump. Probably scared the hell out of the group that wanted to buy it, didn't buy it. I don't know. It's scary to go from 15,000 to 35,000.
But when you look at around us, it's all higher than us.
Yeah, then it's not so scary.
And Wellington North is at 15, but they're going to be out of land soon too. And everyone else that's like running out of land and it's already higher, they're already looking at going higher. And yeah, the cost to service is going up, so we need to go up. And
we're still going to lose money.
Yeah, exactly. We're still giving a subsidy, not to the same extent, a little less, but we have to because of the development. Like if we went right up to 56 and then we still had development charges on top of that, we'd be not competitive.
I certainly understand the justification. I'm not arguing your justification.
Oh yes.
I just think it's people look at it on paper. We're going to have to get it out there that we're still losing money, and in order to recover at least costs for us to be able to do the work in our communities, we have to have that kind of dollars. So some kind of marketing to let us know that, hey, they all of a sudden decided to put $20,000 a lot on it. That's quite a bit of money, but these are the reasons why you have to do that. And you're still getting cheap land.
Exactly. It's still competitive, so nobody's complaining.
Just my recommendation.
Up until now, the 15,000 has been fairly hard and fast. I don't think we've accepted anything less than 15,000 for an acre. Do you think the 35,000 will be negotiable, or is it going to be hard and fast as well?
That would be up to you, folks.
Well, I think there's more room for negotiations at 35 for different reasons, without setting a precedent.
But if we're setting the price of 35,
yeah, we are.
It should be 35.
Yeah, I think we got to be careful, and that's why we were very on the 15. We didn't want to vary it because, and it's supply and demand. And I think what Belinda's saying, and you look at Wellington County in general, we're one of the few municipalities that have municipality-owned employment lands left. And so to bring more on, and we know we can bring another 20 acres on in that area in Palmerston, but it's going to cost us $1 million for a lift station and a few other things. We have to do this. And I don't think it's a problem if all of a sudden nobody comes. Well, then that's like anything else. You have to rethink it. But I think we'll fill up what we've got left that we can do quickly, the low hanging fruit pretty quickly, just because there's no supply out there. I'm surprised Wellington North. I didn't think they had any employment lands that they owned.
Well, Dale reported that they had 12 acres.
But that's private. So I don't think they own it, but I'd be surprised if they own it. If it's not serviced, though.
I asked for serviced acres. Well,
you always bemoan that factor to me, so maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Ron, did you?
No.
But I think it's worthwhile, and I understand where Ron's coming from, too. I understand that, Ron. But I think supply and demand is there. It's like anything else. Look at our housing costs now. Like, look at what's happening. You can't build a house for less than $250 a square foot now. So everybody's houses go up because of that. I mean, that's just part of what it is out there. So
I believe Lister was running out of industrial land.
There isn't a lot of employment land out there, and
they're working. They have none left, but they have 45 acres in process, and their price right now is $42,000, but they would be increasing theirs as well.
Yeah. Anyways, I think it's a good report. I'm glad you put it together, and you got good information there for us, and I think it's something we can move on.
Okay.
All right.
Yes. Yep.
Jean?
Motion.
And Mary Lou, all in favor? Thank you. The building assistant.
It's just me again.
Are you the assistant now?
I am. Yeah. Yeah. Michelle's the boss.
That's 3 weeks in a row.
2. But who's counting?
Going downhill. Go ahead. We have the actual real building person here.
We actually do. So what we have before us here tonight is the county has circulated a surplus farm dwelling severance application to us. This one's located on the 7th line. It's roughly 3.6 acres, irregular in shape. Details on it briefly. Frontage on the 7th line is 9 meters or 29.5 feet. Contains a house, septic system, and a former dairy barn. That's that large one on the picture on the bottom right-hand side. It's roughly 10,600 square feet per floor. I believe it's only a partial second floor in the building. Staff met and went over the application. Public Works comments on it is a reapportionment of the drainage assessment, as well as an entrance to the retained land, which would be the farmland. Building department, we met about it, and there's a couple of zoning deficiencies that we noted. One was the insufficient frontage. That's that 29.5 feet where 100 feet is required. And then the size of the barn exceeded what's permitted on a rural residential lot. Zoning wise, 3.6 acres, the max that they're permitted to have is 1,900 square feet. So this exceeds it by a little bit. Council has in the past done one of two things to address this situation. One is to require the demolition of the barn. The other is to allow the applicant to get a change of use permit to convert the barn into a storage building for personal use only, not business or agricultural. And then once the barn or the building deteriorates and it's torn down, the same size can't be reconstructed. So then they would be limited to the 1,900 square feet at that time. In speaking with the applicant, his purpose is just to store personal items in there, maybe a couple of chickens and that for his kids, but definitely no business or no agricultural. So that is one thing I think council will have to decide when he comes back for the rezoning. So this is just conditions for the severance. So the 4 conditions we recommend with the approval of this is the financial and otherwise, this is the normal condition. The drainage assessment that Mike was looking for, the access, so the entrance permit for the retained parcel, and then the last one is the zoning. So that would be frontage, what to do with the barn, and then the county's also going to require them to rezone to prohibit residential development on the agricultural portion. So that is pretty much.
Hey, Deputy Mayor Faulkner.
Yeah, Terry, just out of curiosity, when the land division looks at that, why would they not look at allowing the severance for residents, but then perhaps take that red line and square off the barn and make that go with the farm?
The reason is barns have both the construction of the barn as well as lot creation kicks into a requirement called minimum distance separation calculation. And what that is a minimum distance between a barn and a potential receptor. So where a house could be or where a property line is for odor mitigation.
Yeah.
So if the barn was to stay with the agricultural portion, that same setback would kick in. And the severance wouldn't be approved because they would never meet that MDS.
You'd have to rip the house down. Yeah.
No, the lot just couldn't be created. So the barn stays, or if they want the lot, then the barn's got to go.
Okay.
So this kind of is kind of a middle ground that the county's putting towards us. It's more what our local feel is, whether or not we want these barns to stay, or whether council wants them.
Because we all know of
essentially
a few
demolished.
barns that really should be taken down because they're
and council over the last years, it's been both ways. Barns that aren't in great shape and the applicant's okay with it, they get demolished. This isn't an issue. But then in other cases, historical value or sentimental value, they want to stay, and that's kind of what happens.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, June.
Well, I was just going to say under Public Works, it says the entrance permit must be obtained prior to construction, I'm assuming.
Of the entrance itself.
Entrance permit must be obtained prior to the construction of the entrance permit?
Of the entrance itself, sorry. Maybe that should have been clarified a little bit.
Okay, because there isn't anything being built on the agricultural.
No. It would be the construction of the entrance itself.
Okay.
And I guess the one question I would have, Terry, and I think you mentioned it in your report, the barn itself will have to come back through a zoning change.
Yep.
So we'll have a chance to discuss that and find, because I don't think I've how good kind of condition it is.
And in driving by, it looks in good shape.
Good.
The applicant will be coming for the rezoning application, so council can ask specifically what the intent of the barn is and decide that.
Yep, David?
Terry, thanks, Mayor Bridge. Terry, we've done a few of these. I mean, we have done quite a number, and I think it's a good thing rather than tear a house down and a barn just so a farmer can crop the land. How do you keep track of the number of buildings that we do? Like, do you have to go back, the ones that have the special conditions, do you go back and inspect once in a while, or?
No, for inspection wise, for the barns and that we have allowed to stay with stipulations, it would just be complaint basis. So if either I see that there's livestock running around or we get complaints, then we can go out and deal with it that way. Having the barn stay is awkward for the enforcement, but is it worth that little bit of a headache for me versus having the barn to stay?
Good, thanks.
Okay, motion to accept. David? Judy, all in favor?
Perfect. Thank you.
Cheers, Bill. Quinn's here. Oh, there she is. Welcome, Quinn. Great. It's nice to have you up here. You're on.
Answer your question.
What's that?
Why is it so surprising?
No, I didn't mean it.
Well, it wasn't a question. I just said it's so surprising.
Yeah.
Prefer to be seen and not heard,
Exactly. Go for it.
Okay. So at your January 9th meeting, council passed a resolution that approved going on with the bid process for the remaining 4 lots on Ann Street, which included eliminating the requirement that restricted purchasers to only bidding on 1 lot. As of February 5th, the form was mailed out to all of the past bidders, and advertisements were placed in the local newspapers outlining all of the general terms. And of that, we received 5 bids on 4 lots. Of those 4 lots, we received 3 bids on lot 305 and no bids on lot 300. So CAO White offered the 2 lowest bidders on lot 305 a chance to revise their bids, and only 1 took the opportunity. So as a result of that, all 4 lots can be sold. 3 of them will close in May or early June, with the remainder closing in late July, and all building permits are to be issued by the end of the year. If you approve these 4 sales, that all of the town-owned lots on Ann Street will have been sold.
Smart move we made.
Yep.
With all of these sales, the town's total sales will be at about
$701,000 with a total of $838,000, including the former ball field and the 2 lots for housing across from Block A. And there will be about 45 new homes built in Clifford, including 24 homes and 8 apartments on Ann Street and 13 homes on the former ball field. So we recommend that you receive this report and approve proceeding with the final sales at their various bids.
Thank you. Questions? Here, Lou. Oh, you gonna move it?
Remember, just has the second development on
I don't believe it's started, but they're going to start it once we start after the first part when we do the first.
That's right.
Closed in June. Closed in June. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful.
I just want to make a comment that I sat at this council and we had a great debate. Well, it was 2 councils ago. I guess there's not this one, the previous council, when we had to take all this land back and wow, it looks like we're really smart, but we were more lucky than smart. But Clifford is taking off, and it's a great opportunity next year this year when we do the downtown and we move forward. We've got more lots coming on. I think it's just great, and I'm really happy to see this. So I've got a mover and a seconder already, I think. All in favor? Thanks, Quinn. Thanks. Is that your first report? Or did you do one last week when I was away?
She did one.
Okay.
No, that was the second one.
Oh, you did a great job. Well done. Oh, now hard act to follow now. Oh, no.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Well, mine's pretty simple. It's the appointment bylaw update. It's something that we do yearly. There has been a few changes this year with the addition of the Minto Trails, with the removal of the Harrison Farmers Market, and we are appointing a staff member as a pound keeper. I gave you your committees that each member of council belongs to, and Judy, I'm sorry, I missed the Wellington Farm and Home Safety Association, so that has been added. It will not show up on the agenda. I'm just asking that you receive my report and that you consider the bylaw in open session.
Okay. Questions? Moved by Deputy Faulkner. Ron? 2 Rons.
All right.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks everybody for going on those committees. I know they take a lot of time, but really appreciate your efforts. Okay, what have we got up now? Is this you, Bill?
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. 2 tough acts to follow, but I'll be very brief. Property liability for the solar panels that are on the town lands. There's 8 parcels or 8 town properties that will have solar panels under the FIT program, the FIT 4. Already they're on the municipal office and on the 3 arenas. They're installed. I think right now only this one is actually generating for the grid. The other 3 aren't far behind. And then we have 4 other ground mount sites, and those site plans for those are being developed now. Basically what they're asking is, we do own the panels themselves technically, and then they're put on the property by leased equipment by SunSaber 2 or one of their companies. Basically they're paying for all the equipment and they're buying all the installation and so forth. So we're just the hosts. If we cover it under our property policy with JLT, there's about a $3,000 a year saving on premiums. The only risk to the town is if something did happen to the panels and they were damaged or we had to make a claim under that policy, it would be added to the municipal property limit. So in other words, we did have a slight increase due to the flood last year to our property coverage. This would add to that potential property liability. We're not talking about legal liability or liability for people getting hurt and that sort of thing, just the property itself. So we're just asking if council wish to cover it under their policy, our policy, and SunSaber has agreed to give us the savings. So in addition to our annual rent for hosting, we would get the $3,000 a year for 20 years, so it's about $60,000. Our recommendation is that you would do that.
I would make that motion.
Sorry to argue.
Second by Dave. All in favor?
Mayor Bridge, my next report is on the proposed land transfers for Quality Homes. We had quite a lengthy presentation on this matter last council meeting. We had given notice that council would consider the bylaw at this meeting. The bylaw is on for you to consider later in the agenda. We've complied with our disposition of property bylaw. There were 3 things we had to do. One was declare the land surplus. The other was to provide notice, which was done, and then get an appraisal of the fair market value. That was the most surprising part of the whole thing, when the value of the property came back at $40,000. Doesn't mean you have to sell the property for that, but we do have to disclose that that was the value of the land. I have seen the appraisal, and he has given justification for that. The recommendation is to receive the report and proceed to consider the bylaw in regular session. And just a point of clarification, when we bought the property, we paid $60,000 for the entire thing. And then we sold it for $105,000. That was less of roughly 1.5 acre park. And now we're looking at, the property gone up at least 10 times that, according to the appraisal. So there's some economies and scales and other justifications he gave. But when I established the price at $21,000 per acre, or $6,000, I thought that was a fairly good increase. But in terms of recognizing that the price of the property has gone up, Quality Homes has said that they would look at, once they get their project moving forward, assuming they do decide to buy the project, and that is still up for determination, then they would look to contribute to the park at a later date, and maybe we could have a public meeting with the people who live in that neighborhood and them, and talk about what kind of improvements we want to see at that park. The $6,000 from this transfer, if it goes ahead, would be put in reserve for any kind of park contribution to these lands. Any questions?
Motion? Judy?
Motion or
Ron?
notion?
We're all in favor? Okay. Move her forward.
Mayor Bridge, my next item is the Municipal Services Corporation Harrison Lions Medical Clinic. You may remember that we did actually acquire the Lions Medical Clinic from the Lions Club a few years back, and that is now a town corporation called a Municipal Services Corporation. We provided an update to you in September 2017, and at that time, Council appointed the Deputy Mayor and the Business and Economic Manager to the board, along to sit with the Mayor, myself, and the Treasurer. So we now have a board of 5. Some background in the report about Dr. Doyen moving out and Dr. Van Sickle expanding and relocating the health team, and now we have a new tenant coming forward in July. In order to facilitate all the renovations...
Sorry, Bill.
He's got to leave.
Yeah, sorry. David declared a conflict on this one. So,
sorry. In order to facilitate all the renovations that are going on inside and outside the building, we're asking council for a loan of $75,000. That would go to the corporation to pay for these renovations. It would be paid back over a 10 to 12 year period. Just by way of numbers, the new tenant and the tenants that are there now are expected to pay around $35,000 per year in rent, and the expenses are about $25,000 a year. So we should be able to profit $10,000 and pay the council back fairly quickly. So I'm really happy to see what's going on down there. Our facilities manager, Al Carr, has done a lot of work with the tenants, and the business and economic manager helped find the new tenant, and we're looking forward to that person moving in the summer. So our recommendation is that you do loan the corporation $75,000.
questions, comments?
Are we allowed to know who the new tenant is or what profession they are? Is that not public information?
It hasn't been made public, and we haven't signed them yet. So when we do, we certainly would make that public.
Needs to say it'll be in that field.
Right.
And just a comment in the fact that we've got a $300,000. I think that's a conservative estimate building. We're going to have $75,000 basically loan, with a good surplus going forward. So, we were able to keep some medical people in town, which is
Just one other question. Is there any other space left in there then, or does
No,
that
it'll be
fill
full.
up?
That'd be Phil.
You don't want to make the motion? Oh, no, maybe Mary Lou. Mary Lou can make it, and all in favor? Okay. I don't think it matters.
I probably not. But.
Okay, I'll turn it over to Mary Lou. You're up, aren't you?
Financial Committee has 2 items on the agenda tonight. And I'll wait a second for Treasurer Gord Duff and then turn it over to him to discuss council remuneration.
Great. Thank you, Chair Caldwell. So another one of our statutory reports that we have to do once a year. So this is on the activities of council. Again, it's a bit of an off calendar. It goes from December of one year to November of the next year. And I guess this is about our second year under a slightly adjusted council remuneration package where the base was increased and the amount of meetings with per diems has decreased. And I think it's come out very close to what we expected, slightly under. So anyway, each councillor is listed there between the regular earnings, the per diems, expenses, and mileage for the total. So,
any questions? Then the recommendation is the council receives the March 12th report from the treasurer regarding 2017 council remuneration for information. Something like that. Councillor Churton, seconded by Councillor Anderson. All in favor? Motion is passed. The next item on the agenda is the approval of accounts.
Right, so this is one of our large quarterly ones.
Yes.
Yeah, and this one's just a little bit unusual, but we have our county and development charges. So we were a little late getting all the development charges, which all relate to 2017. And as we were mentioning in that whole discussion about industrial parkland and that too, you have to realize that once you get into industrial, our share is relatively low. And the development charges, again, it's a little misleading as the developer comes in, writes us a very huge check, but we share that with the county and the school boards the same way we do the levy. So anyway, of our large expense, 1.6 million of remittances to the county and the school boards. And we also have $238,000 in George Street work that was done by the end of the year and releasing part of the holdback on that work too. And a little bit more of snow removal, about 12,000 I think on that. And go to the big highlights again in the last couple of weeks.
Are there any questions? And the recommendation is the Council of the Town of Minto receives the Treasurer's report dated March 15, 2018 regarding approval of accounts and approves the Town of Minto accounts by department for January and February 2018. Mayor Bridge, Deputy Mayor Faulkner, all in favor?
Okay.
Only chance
Turn
he
the
gets.
chair back to Mayor Bridge. Thank you.
And I always say that every time I see that county one, I'm glad we don't have to write the check anymore. I have to sign that check for $1 million because it goes automatically out of our account right into theirs. So I hated always signing that $1 million check. I was like, water and sewer. Who's doing this one?
Mayor Bridge all started, and
this is okay on George Street.
Wayne Metzger is here.
Perfect.
Wayne managed to go down south and join a nor'easter, so.
No, did you? You got in another storm, Wayne?
In a storm.
Oh, I bet you did.
Nice.
Oh. All right.
Got frostbite.
That's too bad.
So Mayor Bridge,
Yeah, that's unfortunate for sure.
Mayor Bridge, Wayne is here to answer some of the details, questions, if you have any about the number of times what he's found when he's been to the property in question. We did have that question asked last week, and so this is a summary of the issue. We've been flushing and shocking, and we're even considering swabbing and maybe repairing mains, but not to make light of it, but it's been a real challenge for the landowners and for our staff to get a handle on what's going on. There were 2 laterals to this property, and we thought by sort of killing one that might help the problem, but it doesn't seem to have remediated. We were out after the council meeting, I think once or twice, and did do some more flushing. So the sedimentation is basically, or discoloration is due to the age of the mains, and it's pretty common in some parts of Hairston, this area in particular, where there's low water use and the old cast iron mains. So there is a loop in the system, but it's just simply a function of how much water runs through it at that time. So we haven't had a lot of concern from other residents in the street, but we have had some. So what our staff is suggesting is we get more active on this now and go visit everyone and see exactly what's going on in their properties and see if there is any kind of solution that we can do to get the water moving more quickly. The report talks about automatic flushing systems. We have asked Triton to price the cost of replacing that water main. And there's some commentary in that report about whether you should be doing just a water main or doing the whole street and that sort of thing. So we do have some budgeted funds. If it was practical and reasonable to do that water main, we may be able to reallocate some money to do that main itself, but then we would have the street and sewer and water to do yet still. So we've been waiting for the Shikadance subdivision to move ahead to finish that last block, and that would certainly, if it did go, create a lot more water use in that area, and they would be responsible for some of those upgrades. So that's where we sit. I think the staff would like to continue to work with the neighbors that were here at council and also others on the street to see if there's solutions that help the situation on a more proactive and regular basis. And then we'll get the information back from Triton on what may be possible as far as that main replacement and what it might cost and whether it's practical to do so, and we can have a look at that later on. But maybe report back in a couple of months just to let you know what's going on.
So CO White, that just did I read that correctly? That for the it would cost $120,000 to do from William down to the end to put a new water and sewer infrastructure. There,
I don't have that figure in there. No.
It's 80 and you're adding 80 and 40. But that's
that's not. No, there's no figure in there for what it would cost.
Curbing, and that's a lot.
I'm asking for.
Well, that's yeah, but pardon me.
The figures in there in our current budget are 80,000 to. It's a water and sewer project that was done in 2015 or 16. We'd be finishing the pavement and the curbing on that section of the road. That this year, there's 40,000 water sewer to do the William Street extension. If that 10-lot subdivision goes ahead, that would have to go ahead this year. We're now getting into March. Whether that 10 lots going ahead this year, we'll see. And then there's 50,000 for design work on Lawrence Street. Again, that existing Lawrence Street as it stands hasn't been upgraded in a long time, and we'd like to replace that. But those are all funds that are discretionary. If council wanted to allocate them to this water main, if that was something that could be done, then that's a possibility. But I haven't got a figure. I need that figure from Triton before.
Exactly, and I think that's.
Ron, go ahead.
Just maybe this is something Wayne can answer. If we were to go ahead and put thousands of dollars into this water and sewer work, from the laterals to their house, how good are the pipes that are going into the houses? Would we put our water and fix it at our end, and all of a sudden it's a problem with their pipes going into their property? Would we know that?
Oh, give it a smack.
Okay. Now we're up and going.
Good job, you're in water.
Oh, crazy. Yes. So anyways, there's always that. Right now there'll be copper lines that do feed into these buildings. I know this particular lot at our home at 96 George Street had a copper one in, and they had put a poly one in back in, I think it was the late 80s. That's when we found out there was 2 lines going in, so we wanted to isolate the oldest one and allow the water to flow through there. But probably the best thing to do when you do this would be to change the lateral from the main to the property line, put it at the new depth to the frost level depths at the same time. And then at that time, if there's still any issues, it would be at the homeowner would want to do something. What we are recommending, we have done it at this location, have shocked their
their service, and we did get a large amount of iron buildup off the pipes. But that's something that needs to be done a few times to really get it to scour that buildup on the inside of the pipe. So we're going to try and work with the homeowners on that part too. And the other thing is Todd and I are reaching out too for them to call us as soon as they notice discoloration. I know it's a bit of an inconvenience at times, but we're trying to figure out a flushing program that, okay, if we got to do it every 2 weeks for a while or every week and a half till we can get this, that we can help, with this water quality on this section of Main. We do have on King Street next. That's also same thing, 4-inch. Not too many complaints, but if we do start flushing in that, we can pull discolored water from there. So we got to make sure that we do these two streets kind of together to maybe not draw anything around that would affect the homeowners on George either. So, but yeah, as far as your question, there is that possibility from their end, depending on the age of the home and what it was.
So the recommendation would be for the homeowner to try and put better pipes in their place if they wanted the effective water.
Yeah, that's there. Or at the time they do it, then maybe there's a way of they could certainly flush their system out at the same. And when they hook the new line on, flush theirs out.
Now, saying that, what if the homeowner put new pipes in now?
Well, the situation, you still can have, you still got the old main there. You've still got the lateral that's coming in off the street. Usually they're not too bad, but in this section, because it has been there a while as a dead end, and they did put that 2-inch loop around, I think, to create some circulation, especially for chlorine residual. And so to do it now, I think the better deal is the town to go ahead, at the time when they're ready to do it, get that part done, and then the homeowners can go from there and see, because now they'll have a shorter section of pipe, which, from property line to their home, that might be easier to get flushed out, and then, hopefully the situation goes away then. But
thanks, Wayne.
Wayne, just a question on this comment about automatic flushers. Can you give me a little idea what that means?
Well, we did it we had a dead end up in Clifford, this is with all the backyard stuff that we had there. So we were having chlorine residual problems there. So we actually bought it's called an automatic flusher. So you put it's only seasonal, of course. So you can put it on the hydrant and you actually set a timer and it will come on and off based on the time of day and the amount of days a week that you want it to flush. And again, you'll have it on there. A hose will go to an appropriate place that it's safe, that nobody's going to get there, and hopefully make sure we got a good place to discharge. But it would automatically come on, and that means we wouldn't have to man it.
Right.
But the other thing with them they'll come out this time, off of this time. So if during that flush it's rusty when it stops, then it's going to be rusty. That's the only difference.
Yeah,
so at the start, I think till we get a program going here,
right,
when we have our operators there that can see the discoloration and when to stop it, because there isn't much on startup, but there are obviously these pockets going through these, with the other streets. You got William with some old cast iron in there. You've got, all the way from William Street comes all the way from Elora down, and you've got all of you got a lot of King Street, Queen, all that area. That whole area is still the old cast iron part of town. So these pockets of rust may not always just be coming from here, but they certainly are affecting our homeowners at 96 George Street the most.
Yeah.
Most of the other ones, they seem to just run their tap and it clears shortly. So
right, okay.
Just I'm curious on that shocking. So is that an expensive process, the shocking?
No, what we do is we just go in and we work with the homeowners. We'll get an outside tap going. At this time, is how we do it anyways. And we make sure that they bypass their water softener. Don't use any hot water. And then we get that outside tap going as fast as it can. And then we just operate the valve. And what that does is create a shock wave through there, which starts to remove any buildup on the interior of that pipe. And then it flushes out through. So at that time, we don't want them drawing water into a hot water tank or softener, because that would go directly into
the system.
And the same thing could happen when we flush. If we flush and they happen to be drawing a little bit of water, they could draw that rust in at the same time that we're flushing too. So
Yeah, so you'd want to shock first before you do the flushing.
well, mostly we'll flush first. Like the best way to do is flush, make sure your main's clear, and then shock.
Okay.
Right, that way what your quality of water is at the hydrant.
Okay.
Then you shock, and we've done that once. They were there. We've seen that, and there was quite a bit of rust come out. I'd love to do it again, a few times when they're there, that we can see if that helps us.
Sounds good.
Okay, but again, we'll work with the homeowners on all this to make it work. We're getting into the time of year now that it's a lot easier if you got those outside taps that freeze
Right.
and that. We don't want to get into that situation of causing any damage to the homes. So,
David?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Bridge. How long's the loop been in around down to
that plastic
Kane?
loop, I don't know. I would think back in the 80s they put it in. And I think that was just when they were trying to get some kind of circulation between Queen, King, and George. There's that 2-inch comes to the 3. So it also helped a little bit with fire, but not that much.
Yeah.
But
And I just want to, we had talked once before in the old, I won't call the old days. I mean, back, we used to be able to take and flush it a little differently, but since we had the DQS and all the other restrictions, well, kind of explain that to me, like how we used to do it with the fire hydrants and with
well,
the
years
hose.
ago, what they used to do, they bring an air compressor in, they'd hook it up. We'd get, you get a new airline and everything that has not been used. You'd put chlorine through it. You would hook it up to the inside of the house. You'd get a fire hydrant going, and then you would force air and that through that line, and then it would all be flushed out the hydrant. But with today's standards, that's not a practice that we could use at this time.
So it kind of makes it more difficult for us to do
Exactly.
it. That's why we have to do something.
We have to use it with system pressure.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that, explaining that how it would have probably happened in the past, and you would have been able to do that and be a lot quicker. And so I guess maybe if keep working with the homeowners. I mean, we understand their frustration.
Oh, for certain. And same with us. We're concerned about water quality too.
And
so.
But as they say, if the chicken dance thing went through, but I wouldn't hope on that. We got to get you fixed up. We would be many years to do that. So we want to get to the bottom of it and keep coming back to us and letting us know through Bill and myself and keep going on that. Hopefully we can get to the end of it somewhere along the line. I appreciate you being here tonight to hear this report, we've had some talks on the phone, and certainly we're not trying to abandon you. We want to get it done. Everybody should have clean water. I understand my mother used to yell and scream when it was rusty and she had put a load of laundry in and it didn't come out clean. That's a little frustrating. And so we'll work towards it. Bill?
In the chair, just in terms of the recommendation that it does have a report back no later than this summer. So we'll, if
hopefully we're doing some of this stuff.
The council's supportive of this, we'll continue to work with our staff will work with all the landowners in this one.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'd like to find out if more people are getting affected as well. I mean, they are, but they haven't come forward. It's a big problem, I know. So let's see if we can get right. So we'll work, and I think we got to get in there and work with everybody, and the staff will do that. Okay. And thank you. And somebody want to do the Dave? Oh, you're chairing. Sorry, David, I took over on you.
So. Yep. So the recommendation is that the council receive the lead hand DWQMS coordinator's March 19th, 2018 report, water concerns, 96 George Street North, and direct staff to continue to work with the landowners to address the concern and report back to council no later than this summer. And I have a mover and a seconder on that. Councillor Dirksen, Deputy Mayor Faulkner, all in favor of that motion? Against? That's carried. Second item then on the Public Works agenda, we have our roads foreman, Mr. Mike McIsaac here. We want to talk about the pedestrian crossovers.
Thank you. So last summer, pedestrian crossovers came to the forefront, I guess, and 6 locations were identified that were proper locations for these to be installed. Last season, we were able to, along with the county, install the one at the public school there in Palmerston on Prospect Street, the one on Toronto Street, as well as the one at Brunswick and Main Street in Palmerston. The one at the main corner at William and Main Street there, it's currently 90% functioning. We are having problems with one of the push buttons, so it's not activated, but it's basically up and running now. And then along with the line pane as well. This being said, there is still the other two left in Harrison on Aurora Street as well as Arthur Street. We didn't include the price in this year's budget just because of the unknowns, due to the fact or due to the cost that the one at Main and William Street in Palmerston, it was almost triple what we were expecting for the installation. So we were anticipating something along the same lines for cost. And with recent events, Triton Engineering was able to verify that the installation of the two remaining are actually of a lesser, almost a lesser standard for the road width and the functionality at those two locations. And the design for those is attached in the report there. Yeah. And this is basically the same style as what you see on at Toronto and Prospect Street in Palmerston there, with the flashing lights, and there's not the overhead arm or the bump outs for the curbing and stuff like that. So for this year, we are actually proposing to put the dollar value for those two remaining into this year's capital budget moving forward. And then also, in addition, that we were looking at is the speed sensing signs. We had a request to look at options for these moving forward, and just to help out with pedestrian safety as well as trying to keep the speeds down through some of the busier areas in the towns and as well as the township. We have gotten a couple quotes back ranging in around that $5,000 to $5,500 range for these signs. There is some concern along with these, even though they're supposed to be a traffic calming measure or make people aware of where they are and their speeds. There's also the concern of people actually, I've heard stories where people actually speed up to see how fast they can go in. Vandalism, people throwing stuff at these signs, or even theft too, right? So it's one of those things that we gotta, we hope that they function the way we want them to, but there's always that chance that something else could happen to them as well. So financially, like the considerations there's the $50,000 for the two pedestrian crossovers for the installation there, and then we could put in the budget for possibly 2 of these signs for about $11,000.
Is there a specific location recommended for these signs?
For these signs, we have been in. There has been some communications with regards to coming in from the activity of down 123 into Palmerston from TG Minto towards the school crossing right there. Even coming in from Tim Hortons end of 123 into Palmerston. That way, people are still traveling at a fairly high rate of speed down the past offices before you get to the downtown core. Even the areas where the crossing in Harrison on Aurora Street coming in from the north, as well as coming in from the east and on Arthur Street as well. So those are some areas that we could look at, as well as there is some concerns out there on the 12th and around Pikeview. We're still receiving complaints and concerns in that area. So there's different areas that pop up periodically where people do have concerns. It could be a seasonal thing. It could be construction. There could be different people going in different areas and a higher rate of speed during construction seasons too. So we might see some different activities.
Questions? Other questions? Deputy Mayor Faulkner.
We can add those anytime, though, correct?
We could, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor Colwell.
Police Communities Committee. We talked about renting these you just said they're seasonal. So is that an option that we consider renting them?
We could rent them. We could rent. There's different ones available.
You wouldn't want to rent them.
But there could be options that way as well.
Mayor Bridge?
Well, I've kind of brought this up, and I was down at Good Roads, and we talked about it, and I see more and more of these out there. I think it's a safety issue. I understand that people could shoot them. I can understand that people might speed up, but the majority of the people are like me. When they're coming into a situation, maybe in a town that they don't know about or whatever, and they miss the sign, next thing you know, they're on top of the school. And I automatically, when I see it, I automatically try to get down to the speed. And most people do, I think. And because the price, Mary Lou, has come down quite drastically, I think at one time probably Safe Communities, the cost of them used to be 10, 15,000. Now they got solar, and so I think maybe at that time, I think at 11,000, try two of them. And I suggest, and one of the places I suggested was coming into around the bend there at coming into the school, Minto Clifford.
Yeah.
That whole area, we can't get people to slow down there. It seems we have a school, we have that special zone, and it doesn't seem to matter. That might be one of them.
Yeah.
It's the one certainly, and we have a lot of complaints. I get a lot of complaints in Palmerston for the TG Minto people when they get out. It's the same time the buses get out. I see these as more of a permanent thing that we could move around, but as we do these, I think we might find other areas, and I think it's a good investment for safety. And along with what we're doing with the school crossings, I mean, it's costly, but I think we've had the public want us to have as safe crossing as possible. Some of our community guards, I've seen situations where they almost get hit because people don't stop. So anything we can do to make this better and not have a issue where somebody gets hurt, I'm certainly well worth to look at it. So I'd like to at least try to get two to see how it goes. And again, if we find that's not an area we need them in, or it doesn't seem to make the difference, well, we can move them around because they are fairly portable. They're not portable like in the way that those other ones were. They're on little carts. I mean, the county's got a couple of those. We can throw them up for construction in different places. We can borrow them from them. But this is more of a permanent thing that would go to a permanent site, and with the availability to move if you have to. But
exactly. And in the report too, there is the solar option,
or a battery pack.
Yeah. And I've even heard that the battery pack option is better because if you leave it up for 2 or 3 days, you take it down, and then people don't get accustomed to it sitting in one spot for too long, and then that's where potential for some of these other things might happen. And then it gives you the opportunity to bring it back, charge it up, and put it up in another location fairly quickly. And then they also do store traffic counts. If there's historically a certain time of the day where they're seeing a lot of speeding, then you can relay that onto the OPP as well. Maybe during a certain time, if you don't mind sitting here, there might be some tickets thrown out during that time.
Councillor Elliott.
You were saying, I just caught that now, but does it have memory?
Yes.
So at the end of the day, you can go say, "Holy mackerel! Everybody is slowing down now, or speeding up," or you'll have that data in front of you.
Exactly.
And it does give you the number of vehicles that go by too.
Yeah, traffic count, speeds, and even the time on it. So like the time of day, if there's a certain vehicle that goes by in the 50, it'll have that time stamp.
So we could put it out somewhere and say that's not a very busy road, and find out, what do you know? Yeah. And I also like the idea of being portable, but you were saying about theft. If we know the places we're going to put them to, we could probably spike something in and chain it if we had to.
Yeah.
Make it, or put it on a big steel thing that nobody could throw in the back of their truck or whatever.
Exactly.
Make it difficult for the theft to happen. And about vandalism, we wouldn't have built a park, or we wouldn't build a pool, we wouldn't do anything in the town of Minto if we thought vandalism going to get, if they vandalize it, they vandalize it. We have insurance for that. On top of that, let's get something else. Let's not let vandals deter us from doing the proper thing for our people. Also in Palmerston, the paint is coming off.
Yes.
So is that the county that put that on, or
All
the crosswalk?
All the locations over the winter months.
Always going to
The
happen.
plows are going to peel that off.
Okay, so it's not going to matter.
Yeah, it's gonna get redone every year.
Okay.
As we move forward.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah, for sure.
Deputy Mayor Faulkner.
So the 50,000 is for the construction of the
Remaining two.
The remaining two. Then to add, that would be $11,000 more if we want those portable signs or those signs. Does it matter which model we buy? Are they all the same price?
They're
11,000.
Between the solar unit or the battery pack. I think it was $150.
Yeah, they're about 5,000 each.
Yeah.
5,500. Thank you.
Councillor Anderson.
Just a question about these pedestrian crossways. So we had a discussion last year. I think it was a county councillor came, did the presentation on crossways, crosswalkings at schools that only apply if there's a crossing guard in there, which makes no sense to me. I'm assuming these are current and working all the time. And do they need to push a button, or is it always lit up and you stop?
Okay, so I'm trying to remember. The one on Toronto Street has the push button. The one at the corner of Main Street and William that we are currently installing has the push button with the flashers and then the actual overhead sign as well.
Right.
The one at Broadway and Main Street is just the signs. So that's just.
So if you're going to cross, you make eye contact with the guy coming towards you, make sure he's got it, and he has to wait till you've cleared the entire road before he goes through.
That's correct.
And if that's what's being installed at the Arthur Street here, so it would be a crossing for kids. It's applicable whether there's a crossing guard in there or not.
That's correct. And they do have.
And is that standard now across? Because there was a discussion that it didn't seem to be standard. It was Gord or
What Mr. Davidson.
Right.
Through you.
Go ahead, Mayor.
But Mr. Davidson was talking about it. That particular thing wasn't necessarily cleared. I think that wasn't. So what he said wasn't right that night.
Oh, okay. All right.
So we don't go by that.
So that's not law.
No.
So.
But these are ministry transportation ordained.
So
these will be law.
Just so that we're clear, these pedestrian crossovers that you see, people have to stop at them for pedestrians.
Okay.
Okay. If they do not, they can't. It is a chargeable offense.
Very serious one.
And it's different than a crosswalk.
Right.
A crosswalk is actually at a controlled intersection, so where a stoplight is, or controlled by stop signs, where people have to stop for another reason.
Okay.
A lot of times where these pedestrian crossovers are put in place, there is not a control put in place.
Like in Listowel on the main street,
Exactly.
There's just some lines painted.
Yeah, that's exactly. So that's a location where a pedestrian crossover should be installed instead of a crosswalk.
Okay.
Okay, you're supposed to stop when the lights are flashing for a crosswalk in a situation like that, but it's not. From what I understand, a design like that is not enforceable.
Well, it doesn't even have a light. Yeah. It's just the line.
It's just the line. Yeah, correct.
Okay, it's a complex issue. It seems like to me it should be just standardized, and you see it, you stop. But apparently that's not the rule. That would seem very simple to me. Okay.
We've got one more question, Councillor Caldwell.
Sorry, just one quick question. The one that is being installed on William and
Palmerston. Yeah.
Now there's a hill coming up.
Yeah.
Is there any warning or anything like that there is a crossover?
So with the location of William Street, it's actually got clear visibility from both ways because you are elevated. So it's different than where the current location down at Union Street. When you're coming over the hill from towards William down
that's
the
a
hill,
good idea.
You can't see, you don't know that crossing's there. So that at the current location, that's why there's the flashing light with the notification of the pedestrian crossing ahead signs there. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. The recommendation is that the council receive the road foreman's March 15, 2018 report and direct staff to proceed to include the $50,000 in 2018 capital budget for the installation of 2 remaining pedestrian crossovers as presented. and direct staff as to which direction to go with the potential purchase of the radar signs. So you want to include
11,000.
Okay, so you want to include the 11,000 in to go ahead and purchase the radar signs. Can I have a motion for that, please? Mayor Bridge, Councillor Elliott, all in favor of that motion? Against? You want to be noted?
Yes, please.
No, please note, Mr. Deputy Mayor Faulkner. So that's passed, and we're on to item 3 of the public.
Can I make a point? I'm not opposed to the crosswalk. I'm opposed to the purchase of the lights.
Well, thank you. Okay, so number 3 item is municipal drain number 39 improvements. Mike, please.
So this is a topic that is being revisited just as a formality. So we've had a Section 78 presented for an upgrade on this current system, and during the design, a branch was actually required. So there's a branch, an extension of the drain that heads up towards, it's the green line heading up towards the 6th line there. It's longer, for drain eligible projects, there can be an offset catch basin, but the length for this offset, is outside the parameters for that, so this is it actually needed a section for a new drain to be installed. As the same situation is right at the top end. The current system stopped on the south side of the 6th line, and the proposal is to take a cross culvert to the north side of the 6th with a catch basin, and the reason for this requirement is the Sinclair property at the top end.
Right.
They're actually in the process of tile draining that field.
Okay.
And they need a proper outlet for their system, the tile system that they're putting in place. So just as a formality, we need that paperwork. I signed the sections number 4 for as the roads authority for this one. And the approval for Dietrich to proceed with the design.
Judy, what's the number of that school there?
I don't know, but it's Glen Lee School.
Glen.
Do we have questions for Mike?
Glen Lee and Glen Lee School. There's 2 Glen Lee schools there.
Okay. So everybody knows where this is. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Faulkner.
Thank you. Just refresh my memory. Road 1, is that Pike Lake Side Road?
No.
That's the next one down, right?
To the east, yes.
To the east. Alan Ross's road. Yeah, this Alan Ross is right there.
Other questions?
Yep.
CAO White.
I just wanted to point out, Mr. Chair, that we did have public meetings on 4 drains.
Yes, correct. Yes.
On, I guess it's 2 weeks Friday. Remember, we had a report back in December about how long our drains were taking. And so Mike's pointed out in here that in addition to the 4 meetings on that day, and I don't know what drains they were, but we had a lot of people coming through here. And we also did have a delegation at the Strip Roads conference on this. So just wanted to point those.
And that delegation, we haven't heard back from that?
We have not.
Okay, so any other questions?
I actually have one more
Yeah.
comment just along.
Go ahead, Mike.
Along with that, Dietrich's I believe they plan on bringing 3 of these final reports for these drains to council within the next 2 weeks, or probably within the month. So that's how close they're getting with the 3 of them. Yeah.
Mayor Bridge.
And just I was going to put it at the end when I was doing my Federation of Canadian Municipalities report, but it makes sense to do it here. When I was at Laval week before, anyways, they are looking into the Fisheries Act, because as you know, some of our plug has been the EAs on these drains at the using the Fisheries Act. So they are looking at that now. And one of the problems in 2012, when they took that away from the conservation authorities and put it back under the Department of Fisheries, they added all that work, but no extra people. So the federal budget that just came down has put $248 million into the fisheries department in order to hire more people. So hopefully this will help our problem. You guys playing around over there.
Very disruptive.
Yeah, very disruptive. So that report, I think I'll have. I think Bill, did you send that out to the?
I have not yet.
Bill has that report that the FCM has been working on, and I'll send it out to the council so you have it. Because you all keep getting these questions, but it's nice to hear that we're getting 3 of them back. Maybe some of that backlog's getting used up. But I know some of them are sitting with Department of Fisheries, so hopefully they'll start moving forward. And there's a lot of pressure from FCM on them, on the federal government, to clean up their act on this, and to basically also to declare these things not rivers, not creeks. They're drainage ditches, and they shouldn't be under the EA in the first place. But that's another thing that they're working on. So you'll get that report and you'll be able to see it.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. So the recommendation on this is that the council receives the road foreman's report regarding the petition under Section 4 of the Drainage Act for the Municipal Drain 39 and appoints Dietrich Engineering Limited to represent the town's interest with regards to work on Branch 1, and that the crossing between Station 1+058 and 1+078 are proposed. Can we have a movement and a second? Thank you, Councillor Caldwell. Deputy Mayor Faulkner, all in favor of that motion? Against? That's carried. Thank you. Number 4 item on the agenda has to do with the bridges and culverts. Mike?
Okay. So this is a report basically on our biennial bridge and culvert inspection. This was completed in, I believe we got the reports back in March of 2017. A little bit slow getting this out, but I think this is the first one you guys have seen. Okay, so this is kind of an update in general where we're at with the structures that we have within the municipality, and then also to update you on one specific in Palmerston, the Brunswick Street bridge, which it was part of the funding application, which was denied. With the water, wastewater, and the bridge itself in Palmerston in 2015? Yes. And the price at that time for the replacement was about $575,000. So during the latest event that we had back on February the 20th, we noticed some erosion taking place along the embankments of this structure, which caused us some concern, and we needed to have a secondary inspection completed just to make sure that nothing was severely compromised. So attached is Andrew Burgess's from Burgess Engineering's report, basically with the recommendation of having this structure re-inspected every 6 months until we can either replace it, or if it gets to a point where we actually may have to close it until funds are available to replace it at that time. Okay.
Questions? Everybody know where this bridge is? Councillor Elliott?
So it'll be an engineer that does it, and he'll stamp it that it's okay?
Every time.
That's important.
Yes.
And that way we know it's safe for our community.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Bridge.
Just on this, and I was talking to the treasurer on this, Gordon, maybe correct me if I'm wrong on it, but we did apply for, as you know, for Queen Street. We got turned down for that application, and it was a top-up. But one of the things that they did say when we get turned down, we always have so we had the engineer, myself, Gordon, sat in on a call to the ministry and asked them why we got turned down, because you want to know, in case it's something that you can fix the next time. And one of the things they talked about was safety, public safety, and it didn't have enough public safety in it, because remember, we're only going to change the sidewalks out. So this might be one that we might want to look at. Am I right, Gord? That
I just wrote that down.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah. So this is one that I think that because bridges seem to be the one, I didn't come right out and say it, but I think most of the money went to bridges. So this might be one that we can reapply under that program, or some program when it opens up again. And I think we should probably, if it's every 6 months, because I'd hate to have to say, put a stop on it and nobody could go by there, because the residents, well, they can get around, but I mean, it is a pretty busy little
Yeah, and
street.
one concern too is if it ever if there was any sort of a serious thing come up where the White's Road structure
Yep.
was closed and this one was closed at the same time.
Oh, we'd be in
it'd
big
be
trouble.
Along with the hospital too.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll put that. Are you good in that, Gord? We'll put that on our list of things we want to go back to them, and hopefully it'll be a rubber stamp this time.
Deputy Mayor Faulkner.
This might surprise you, but the one that caught my eye was the pedestrian Palmerston Trail System, bridge number 1. Is that the one by the corner of the 3rd and White's Road?
So I'm trying to remember these off the top of my head. We have already,
because it's been taken out.
Well, we've already fixed the one, and I believe that one was structure P, which is about 12 down the list. And the one that you are referring there to, I believe that is the one that is on the bypass of the main trail, which
comes out to the 3rd and White's Road.
Yes, correct.
And that's already been removed, so that should be off the system.
It hasn't been physically removed.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
It's still there. We are waiting on some direction that's yet to come. It's not open to the public.
No.
On and paper.
Yeah, because the Trails Committee has said we don't need that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's
CAO White.
But just on that bridge, the insurance company is still looking at that, so we're going to get a price for you. But
oh, I see. Oh, great.
So we'll see.
Might need it.
The deductible's $50,000.
Be the loop.
Deductible on that is $50,000. So
okay,
it'll be a question of whether you want to go ahead with that.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Dirksen.
I just noticed the typo police here. The last one there, Bridge Road. I don't think we have a Bridge Road in Minto. I think there's Bride Road. Yeah. Okay.
Where's that, Judy?
It's the very last one.
Yeah.
Oh, the very last one.
Just thought we thought we renamed a road or something when I wasn't looking.
So the recommendation here is that the Council of the Town of Minto receives the road foreman's report dated March 12, 2018, bridge culvert biennial inspection, and directs staff to have the Brunswick Street culvert in Palmerston inspected every 6 months to monitor the rate of deterioration, and that $600,000 for the culvert's replacement be identified in the 5-year project plan for 2022. Councillor Anderson, Councillor Elliott, all in favor of that motion? That's carried. Last item on the agenda tonight is an asphalt and shoulder tender.
Yeah, so this is our first tender of the season, really, for us, for our operating and some of our smaller capital works, which includes the 8th line and blind line, which is the sand pad and resurfacing, basically from the roundabout up to Road 3 North, as well as the blind line from Highway 89 back to the 8th line. It's basically the same application that we've done on the 16th line, base line, the 6th line over the last number of years here, and that'll be completed under our operating budgets. And this tender also includes the mill and pave of the Legion parking lot, as well as the James Street surface lift of that capital project from 2016, kind of a cleanup. It wasn't the tender last year, but due to the time and weather late in the season there last year, it wasn't able to be completed. The other part of the other component to this tender was the asphalt or the shoulder gravel, which is basically just the half meter to sometimes up to a meter strip along the hard top of the township, where there has been some areas that it's actually eroded away quite heavily, and so we're doing the 12th line and the 12th line from 89 to Road 1 North, as well as the Pike Lake Side Road from 89 to the 10th line, and that's included in this as well. Okay, the results from the tender are supplied here, and is there any questions?
Questions for Michael? Councillor Dirksen, please.
I just had a question. Have we worked with Steed and Evans before?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
they actually did the phase 1 of the Lower Street project last year
Okay.
in Clifford, as well as Elora Street in Harrison from, that was William Street to Adelaide, I believe it was.
A real ugly fall.
Nightmare. But not their fault.
Yeah, not their fault. That was weather. Yeah. Okay.
So we are confident with their abilities. That's for sure.
Other questions?
Just, if I may.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I
Deputy
can't
Mayor.
believe the deterioration on the roads this spring, and I truly believe that, and I'm paying particular attention to the blind line and the 8, and I know the increased truck traffic is incredible. Are we going to be able to sustain that with the current bed that it's under the road, or do we have to put some half load on there for
What is half load
earlier
season?
period?
Oh, earlier, yeah.
It's like we did witness the similar situation on the 6th line in a couple of the locations there with the frost boils coming out of the ground. It looked similar to the same as that. The 16th line had the similar situation through areas there. There is a possibility of putting an extended half load season out there. One of the problems that we have is the enforcement of that.
Okay.
The availability of staff.
No sense in making a rule if you can't enforce it.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I retire, maybe.
Other questions?
Just a comment.
Rich.
One thing on the 12th line, which we haven't got in this one, but we did have a meeting with the gravel pit operators and whatnot, and we're trying to come up with some truck routes. We will not be able to keep fixing these roads for all the traffic, and I agree with what Deputy Mayor Faulkner is saying. And this year especially because they weren't frozen. I mean, the blind line and those, and I talked about those salt trucks, but they're not frozen, but they're, again, limited in what we can do because we can't put the half loads on. So we're trying to work with the people that are operating the trucks to say, work with us to get you as quick as you can to a county or a highway, county road or a highway. Try to work on a voluntarily basis, at least to say, I know you could go down this road and be a little quicker to get there, but can you just go that way and we'll fix. So we fix that 12th line. We'll fix it from the gravel pit areas to the county road, and then we might have to do something with the rest going the other way and put restrictions on of some sort. But anyways, we're trying to work on a voluntary basis. They came in, sat with us, talked to us, Dennison's, Miller, and Murray Group, and so that was the good news. And I think that's what the Mayor of North Dumfries has done. And I think that's just a cooperation thing if we can work with the people. But the salt trucks, we can maybe
Salt trucks have been.
We can talk to the county a bit there because we had some dealings with the one other time. Remember when they were coming late at night, parking up there and causing a problem? The county went to them and said, you can't, these are your hours of operation, you can't do it. So maybe they'll have some help too, because that, unfortunately, that salt facility we've got on White's Road is they manufacture with the brine and whatever the salt, and then they sell it off. So Sifto built that facility and they use it as their marshalling yard. So we've kind of created that, unfortunately, and we get kind of.
But what has changed is they're using the blind line instead of Highway 9, and I couldn't figure out why all of a sudden the Jake breaks. I wasn't hearing them.
Yeah. Well, we put that sign. We put that sign for you.
Well, it's wonderful. I appreciate it.
Anyways, we keep working with them, and maybe we can talk to them, and that's what. But by putting half loads and we're not being able to enforce it, and that's not going to work either. And not only that, we punish some of our local contractors, and we punish the fact that they can't, instead of you're building a house, now you got 5 loads coming to you instead of 2. And so that adds their cost to their house. And so we're going to get pushback.
Just the blind line seemed to have gone all the heck after that flood. But just because water crossed the road, or what did it? That one corner, it just got.
It's a truck.
No, that wasn't the flood.
That was a.
Because it seemed to get a lot worse after that.
Yeah,
on the bend itself, that was actually a truck went into the ditch.
Oh, okay. Well, something chewed the road all up, but it was about the same.
And it's
time,
a big salt. It's the big salt trucks.
Okay.
Trust me, I see them all the time.
That and plus, actually, this season has been abnormal as well because we had that thaw before the half load season as well. So that there was no restrictions
just all of a sudden, just
either. Yeah,
got all chopped up.
Yeah.
Mike, what's the timelines? When's the asphalt plants open? Are we
That
first?
is May 1st. The
So-
asphalt plants are opening up.
We're right first in the queue?
I hope so. After tonight, I'll be in contact with them.
Good, so.
That'll help.
Councillor
Just
Elliott.
one quick thing, we'll be able to use our new traffic count things to find out whether it's fallacy, spam, or myth, or whether it's truth that we got traffic control.
Yes, that's right.
So
Yeah.
we'll be able to know. Isn't that great? That we
Thank you. Hallelujah.
All right, I'll move.
The recommendation is the council receives the March 14th, 2018 report from the Roads and Drainage Foreman regarding tenders 2018-01, asphalt paving and shoulder A gravel, and approves the hiring of Steed and Evans Limited for the total combined price of $334,425, excluding HSD. Mayor Bridge, Councillor Elliott, all in favor? Against? That's carried. Mike, good job. Thanks.
Thank you.
Nope.
I'll pass the chair back to our mayor.
Alrighty, and we've got other business. We have, I believe, Judy, did you have one?
No, I did not have my hand up,
What
actually.
would I have here? I have to look at my list. Jean, it was Jean. Well, I was close.
Just a reminder that Wellington Advertiser is celebrating its 50th anniversary on Wednesday, April 5th. I believe everybody received an invitation to that from 3 to 6, but it does a good job of advertising our events and covering our meetings and so forth and so on. So I think it would be some of us to go down. I know David and I are intending to. And just another note, if anybody's, the Horticulture Society is selling Think Minto first. So if anybody hasn't got their certificates and would like some, so it's an opportunity to purchase things that you're going to purchase anyway, and a proceed of the sales come back through the Chamber's work back to the Horticulture Society. So Sue or I both have forms if anybody would like to get those.
I
Great
filled
gift
mine out
certificates.
already. Yeah.
Good. Great
Um,
gift certificate or shopping items for Christmas or birthdays or whatever.
And thanks, Jean, for bringing up the Wellington Advertiser. It's been a great partnership with municipalities. I'm fortunate I'll be down in Cancun, around Cancun, Mexico at the
Oh, you
time.
poor guy.
So I would hope that people will go and celebrate, because I think it's great. And I've told Pat to pass my regrets on to David. And it's, you know what, we're seeing more and more of these papers going down, and I give them a lot of credit for hanging in there and working hard and keeping the print media alive. So and I've had those talks with Dave, and appreciate all that. So hopefully you can make it down there and go from there. Okay, who else is on? Ron with a question mark. Ron, you.
I want to announce the Pee Wee boys.
Oh, yes.
Won 3-0 down in.
Did they?
Oh, I was going to do that.
Oh, sorry. And I should let you because your grandson plays on the team.
That's good. Well, I'm really happy about that, because that means they'll have another game back in Palmerston. And Chris's son plays on that team as well.
Monday night is for sure now, so Monday night in Palmerston.
Perfect.
What time, Chris?
Yep.
All right.
And the other thing, Annaline's daughter plays on a broomball team.
Yes.
And their beef dinner is Wednesday night at
Tomorrow night.
Well, that's Wednesday
My
night.
granddaughter plays in that team too.
4:30 to 7, correct?
Okay.
And you can get tickets at the door. Where's the location?
Palmerston Community Center.
Perfect.
Okay.
My granddaughter plays in that team too.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. So come out and support those fine ladies.
Yeah, great. Okay. And I'm going to do one little.
Ron Elliott.
2 Rons.
Oh, you have one, Ron? I didn't see.
Well, actually, I had about.
I had you stroked off.
I know. I changed my mind.
All right. Okay.
I wanted to mention about the midget boys too.
Yes.
They won big time. They won 3-2 and they won 8-4, 8-2, 8-2. Playing really well. So we've got a couple of teams in the All Ontario. I think we've got some local league teams still competing in WAA too. So we're really doing well sports wise. Want to announce the Mount Forest Patriots, which is part of Minto, won their championship 2 years in a row now. Now they're across to the All Ontario. The reason I mention that, because there's 6 people that are from the town of Minto that are part of that team.
Perfect.
3 coaches and a trainer, and 4 players, maybe 7 players, 7 people. And they will be coming to council to part of that
great
presentation. So
good. Thank you. I just have one little thing I wanted to give you a little update on Federation of Canadian Municipalities. And as you know, I was in Laval for 5 days, and I think it's important that I give you sort of what they're trying to do for the municipalities. And just to give you a little background, some of the achievements they've done so far is they were the ones that really forced the federal government to the gas tax rebate, like that, the refund that we get from the gas tax. And then they also got it indexed. So that's something that we use. And I believe, I think the number is about 25, or is it 20, 2.5 or million or whatever for the county that we get, maybe even higher than that, I think, or 25. Yeah, the whole county, maybe it's 25 million. I can't remember. I know the county gets a lot. And ours is 240,000 with 7 municipalities. So the bigger the size, the more you get. So that's very important. They also were the ones that got the $180 billion over 12 years on the infrastructure program. They worked hard on that. National Housing Strategy, which they were a little disappointed in this last federal budget that didn't get moved forward quicker. There's $40 billion over 10 years on that one. And the one I really was happy about to see, the rural and northern Ontario, we doubled infrastructure funding from $1 billion to $2 billion, but they also have the federal share of $50,000 for our size of a community. And they were able to, this time around in the budget, any community that's 5,000 and less, they got that up to 60,000. And Mary Lou, we talk about the fact that small towns don't have that money. So along with the fact they really forced, and the provincial government in Ontario has come out with 33% now. So in our case, we only have to put up 17% on one of these projects. But like take a town of, or a township of Howick, they would only have to come up with 7%. So that's very important because in their tax base is so low. But across Canada, there's a lot of little towns that have infrastructure that are at 4,000 or 5,000 people, and they just can't fix the stuff because they can't come up with their share. So that was a big win. They're doing, of course, public transit infrastructure funding, which we don't get any, but that's another thing. And I just wanted the other, and the cannabis tax. They fought hard to make sure that originally, if you remember, the federal government came out and said we're going to keep 50%, and we're going to give 50% to the provinces for the new cannabis. We fought hard at FCM to make that 75% to the province. But in there, they said the province should give the municipalities 33% of that. And the Ontario government has come out now and said they will do up to about 30%. But what they are actually doing, and Deputy Mayor Faulkner will like this, they're doing all the training for all the officers, and they're doing a lot of the bringing a lot of the equipment they need for this. Because I guess they're going to train the old way. You remember when you used to walk the line and all that other stuff to try to figure out somebody.
I never had to walk the line.
No, I know you wouldn't have had to.
False information.
So that's a great thing. And so that's sort of where we're at. And so coming into the next federal election, they're really going to concentrate hard on my favorite pet subject, which is sustainable funding. Get away from this. We just give you $1 million, so put up a sign for us to say that we just use your money to fix your road. I vent on that all the time, but we don't need that. We need to have the sustainable funding like the gas tax, where we know how much money we get every year so we can budget and fix the infrastructure. There's no federal party that doesn't understand that we have 9% of the tax base and 60% of the infrastructure. Everyone agrees. It's just a matter of trying to figure out to them, how are we going to get this down where it's workable for us in the municipality, where we have to actually provide that 60% of the infrastructure and fix it. And so we've got our asset management plans. We're working with FCM on getting some money from a grant on helping improve our asset management plans and keeping them updated. Those are the projects they've got. So it takes 4 weeks out of my life just to the meetings alone. Another 2 weeks I figured on just reading up and talking and doing this stuff. But I feel that having that rural voice and having the small town voice at that table is really important. And we're seeing wins. That's what I like about it. When you do the work, you see a win. That's just like we got the Connecting Links back from fighting hard, not just ourselves, but a lot of people. We're seeing the wins. We're going to do the Clifford thing. We're doing all those. So sometimes it works. So keep up the battle and go from there. So I just wanted to bring you up to date on that.
Perfect. Good report.
Okay. That's it. Where are we going now? Oh no, not a WYNN win. Bill says no. It's a different win. Oh, I tell you. Moved by Deputy Mayor Faulkner, second by Councillor Caldwell. The committee of the whole convenes into regular council meeting. All in favor?
Sorry, I missed that one.
You missed that one before? Moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Councillor Anderson. The Council of Town of Minto ratifies the motions made in the committee of the whole. All in favor?
Not that we know of yet, anyways.
Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor Turton. The bylaw number 2018-13 to authorize a partnership agreement for butter, tart, and buggies, explore the simpler life, tourism promotion be introduced, read first, second, and third time, and passed over council, seal of sales corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Caldwell, second by Councillor Dirksen. The bylaw number 2018-14 for the purpose of appointing a municipal council members and citizens of the town of Minto be introduced and read first, second, and third time, and passed in open council, and seal of seal of corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Anderson, second by Deputy Mayor Faulkner. Bylaw number 2018-15 to authorize the sale of a certain town-owned lands in Clifford, fronting on Ann Street, be introduced, read first, second, and third time, and passed on council, seal of corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Turton, second by Councillor Caldwell. The bylaw number 2018-16 to authorize land transfer in Harrison from Metzger Construction to the town of Minto, and from the town of Minto to Quality Homes be introduced, read first, second, and third time, and passed over council, seal of corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor Dirksen. The bylaw number 2018-17 to confirm the actions of the council of the corporation town of Minto respecting the meeting held on March 20th, 2018 be introduced, read first, second, and third time, and passed over council, seal of corporation. All in favor? Just before I close up, and who didn't sign this? You have to sign that.
Do I have to sign that one?
But I just want to thank everybody, and the staff are all gone. I would have thanked them, but they're all gone. I should have thanked them at the beginning. But we had our budget open house today, and I thank Brian Dare for coming, and his reward was a butter tart. And David, but David said he wasn't a member of the public. Were you a member of the public? Yeah, to give us two. And Terry was here.
That was three. So who won? Annalene?
Who won? Annalene won. And I just want to say it's unfortunate we don't get people out, but maybe that's because they think we're doing a good job. Hopefully that's what it is. That we're moving forward on the budget. And I give you if you look at those charts, you did a great job. I mean, I learned again. I every time I learn a little bit from them, we go through them, and yeah, Mary Lou and I, we looked after the one person, and we had fun with it. But no, I thank everybody for doing that. So now I'll just adjourn. Moved by Councillor Anderson, second by Deputy Mayor Faulkner. The Council of Town of Minto adjourned to meet again at the call of the mayor. All in favor? Thanks for a good meeting, everybody.